Believe bolder. It's a concept. It's a thought. It's a lifestyle. It's a life changer. And today I thought it'd be really interesting to, well, not only introduce you to the thoughts that can change life and the trajectory you're on, but we're going to be visiting on this path with the leaders of life, those that have created some of life's largest dreams and found a way to unlock them. And I think that we as people, well, we all have a chance at the dream. And I think all of our dreams belong to us individually. So all of our dreams will be different. But I think on how we unlock them is where the similarities live. And today, talk about dreamers. We have, look at, I'm getting goose pimples and I haven't even introduced her yet to you. This is Tara Pauly. Tara is an amazing woman, Telly Award-winning, Emmy-nominated national television host on one of the biggest networks. And, well, I asked my friend Tara, I said, Tara, you are to me my golden light of what dreamers do that believe in the dreams they create in life. And I asked my dear friend Tara if she would join us today in a great conversation of hello. And so if I may, I'd love to introduce you, our listeners, to my dearest friend, Tara Pauly. Tara, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Scott. Thanks for having me. You're always such a delight.
We just completed, this was really fun. For those of you, you may have seen our very special episode that we did here at the LA Fires, talking about community, talking about rebuilding, and talking about believing. And it was so heartfelt. And God, the feedback we get from that episode and the tears we caused, we should have bought stock in Kleenex before we did our episode, Tara. That was spectacular. And why? Because I think that life lived authentically is an incredible life to get to experience. And we met some really authentic people sharing from their heart space. And I think that's where we get life. It happens in that heart space. So thank you again, Tara.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was so inspiring to hear from the people that we were able to interview. And that was all your idea. So I really appreciated that opportunity to be a part of it.
Well, you know what? There's so many stories in life that are out there. And here's what I've learned. It's really hard for many of us to dream of something new that we've never done before. I think it becomes easier when we take witness to other people achieving it. And when they share their stories, well, stories have beautiful and the hard pieces in it. That's why they're stories. They're little journeys that unlock the how to do it on life. And I think everybody's looks different.
Absolutely. I believe to my core that failing is just as important as succeeding. I feel like succeeding is the reward, right? But failing is where you grow and learn. So it's important to have the ups and the downs.
Don't you agree, Tara? And you know what I've learned, Tara, please? I'm just an oddball, as we're all going to get to learn over time. Here's what I've learned. Okay. Words are things. Be careful on the words we play with in life, because we often believe what we say because why? We're the author of what we're saying. And if we don't believe it, how will anyone else? And so may I please, I found an ability through reshaping words to say something similar, but to shape it differently. And I did it when I started noticing words I was using. I was a big fan of using the word hate. I hate cold French fries. I hate the traffic. I hate the TV commercials lasting too long. Whatever it was, I found often a way not to like it and then describe what I didn't like. And then I started realizing I don't really hate. You know, and I learned that using that word so freely was powerful. And I started reshaping and removing the word. In the moment I would hear myself use the word hate, I would stop, pause, acknowledge, and reposition. So it took training, but I learned to focus on words and that they were things, and that the words selected triggered a reaction to the listener, even if I was the only listener. It mattered. So I started reshaping things like never, always, things that really aren't really true. Like, when is life never or always, is rarely and sometimes. And I mean that. And so, you know what I did with that little fancy word you just spoiled us with? And it's so true, right? Failure. I learned how to play with that word. Why? Because growing up the way I did, I felt like I must be a failure in life. My family, and I had a very unique, I think most of us have our own individual childhoods of where life began. Mine was rather bold and different as well. And so failure is a powerful word. And guess what I did with the word, Tara? I repositioned my interpretation. And here's what I interpret. In my thoughts, it's impossible to fail in life. There are simply no failures. Life is about experiences that we have, and that every moment is something to experience about that moment. And that if it didn't work out the way I had hoped, is that a failure or is that an understanding? And that if I wasn't getting what I wanted out of the moment, all I had to do was readjust the moment I was in. And so I would suggest, if I didn't get what I had hoped for, and I was previously calling it a failure because I wanted it to work and it didn't work, well, it must be a failure. Well, or is it an experience? Is it an opportunity to readjust? Because how do we know if something works or not unless we get the contrast in life? So when I hear succeed and failure, what I hear is yin and yang. I hear contrast. I see the things that behave the way I wanted to experience and the ones that didn't. But when I started switching the word from failure, like literally reprogrammed, because I think many of us were trained on that word, it means different to all of us. But how could I call it something that worked if I didn't get what I wanted? Obviously, that's a failure. So when I reshaped that word, Tara, my dreams were more available for me to believe I had the right to step into them because of the confidence that I was able to receive, knowing that if it didn't work the way I wanted to, I won't be a failure. I'll be a doer that took uncomfortable action that I never did in the befores and allowed the experiment. Tara, that was another gift I learned on the ride. If it was a big change, I would tell myself it's an experiment, and that I would allow myself a certain amount of time, and that I would review the experiment that I was in, and that by reframing it as an experiment, I was less available for failures or succeed. It was just a moment to try. I believed it enough that I wanted it to work. Many things in life, we might make career changes and other things I did. And I told myself it'd be an experiment. And so that was fun.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
So I don't mean to go on a side track, but it literally shaped how I see the world differently. And for me, I found the path to change happening first through the words I was selecting. And there's no right or wrong. And everybody's words belong to the language pattern they built. But I just suggest it's changeable.
I think that you have a beautiful way of looking at the world, and the way that you communicate is really unique and special. And I love that you've named your podcast Believe Bolder. I think that that is so perfect for who you are. Can you remember the first time that you were believing in yourself, even before the world saw that in you?
Oh, yes, I love that. So here I was, growing up the way I did. I grew up primarily through foster care and boys' homes and institutions since the age of 8. It would be unusual for me to stay in a placement center for more than 1 year at a given time. There was that much movement growing through my life from age 8 through adulthood. So I didn't really get the tools that most of us get the chance to grow up through. Most of us, right, we're taking those history classes, the government, all the things we're learning. And I wasn't in all of those classes. No, a lot of those class scheduled times that most people were in, I was probably in group therapy, or I was in learning about warm fuzzies and cold pricklies. I grew up a different way. And through that growing up, I had a lot of emotional resentment. I had internal anger. I felt a lot of rejection. I didn't feel powerful. I did not have the traditional tools. I didn't know how to make life behave. I was working at a factory. By the age of 19, I had over 30 jobs. I couldn't hold on to a job for more than 5 minutes. Literally, very quickly I'd get on site to my new position, and it was not minutes longer till I was asking where the restroom was, and never coming back. That was me finding my way not to do the things I didn't like, and those jobs were them. But I didn't have the tool set. Right? I didn't have the college degree. I didn't have the previous education most of us grabbed. And I had to use the tools of the emotional displacement I was living through at that age. And that had me working at a factory on a midnight shift. Literally, those that know me, can you visit that? That's me sitting there for 8 hours, starting at midnight, doing this arts and crafts and just monotonous things. It didn't last long. But I never thought I was going to make it in life. I didn't know what life for me would literally get the chance to be like. Her name is Betsy Blumke, and I'll never forget this woman. I opened up the newspaper and I saw a want ad. I'm that old. You went through want ads back then, and it was for a leasing agent at an apartment community. And I went in there with a whole bunch of, I bet I can do this. She said a few things to me that day when I went on that job interview. She changed my life. There's a lot of people that are on our paths. They show up, and they might be there for a minute or a moment or longer, but they can be life-changing events. And for her, she was that for me. And she said to me that day, she goes, Scott, I have been interviewing people for 3 weeks for this apartment leasing agent position. And I've been waiting for somebody to ring my bell. Scott, you're ringing my bell. So, wow, I was so excited that somebody wanted me. And that was the biggest feelings I was growing up through, was being wanted. I didn't feel wanted. And I think most of us in life growing up as adults or children have a core of love, desire, and want and acknowledgement. And I was soaking up in life with that. And this woman came along with ringing bells. Wow. Talk about hope and belief all of a sudden. And that was me sitting in the interview with, wow, this might really work. And she went on further to share with me. She goes, Scott, getting a job here, we're one of the largest property management companies in America. You're going to get education that you can take to any zip code that has rental housing, and you'll have a great chance of a career. This is a career for you, not just a job. And I didn't have any of the tools they said you had to have. Here's what I've learned. Just be beautiful, authentic you, and let somebody see that person. And if they love you, that's who you want to be loved with anyway. And she did. And she hired me. And guess who didn't? I couldn't keep a job 5 minutes. I kept that one 12 years. And it showed me that I had a path available to travel on, even though my path was going to be uniquely different than most. And it was the path of how I got to California. It was the path that set me up to leave the factory. And it taught me this, and I still believe to this moment, everything is possible. That we go once in these bodies. Joy is valuable. And I think each moment we live, there's something trying to pull away at joy itself. And it's up to us to pull it back in. And sometimes choices are hard to make. But as long as it's focused on interpersonal joy, I don't think there's anything wrong with uncomfortable moments that lead to that. And I say all of that on purpose, because that was just one moment of great change, probably one of the first largest outside of Carl Schwartz, my foster father, but career-wise, shaping myself as an adult person that had a path that had value and purpose. And it was all wrapped around home. Isn't that amazing? Everything that I didn't feel like I had. And that's all of a sudden something I continue to get to represent. It has so much value and meaning to me at such a deep-rooted level that I think it helps my passion stay activated in almost every conversation that shares that spirit question.
Well, Scott, that is so inspiring. And you've inspired so many through your work, your words, your story. What impact are you most proud of?
Oh, wow. Talk about a great question. Okay, so please, I'd love to share a special story with you. It touches my heart space deeply. We'll call his name is Bill. We don't need a last name, just Bill. And so here I am. Coming back, I'm in the mortgage industry as well as some other things in career, but mortgage industry for years. And I ended up becoming the state leader. That's what I mean of dreamers becoming leaders and believers, right? This little foster kid growing up at boys' home without all the normal tools. All of a sudden, I'm the state leader of California's lending industry during the collapse of industry, and I was on the side of healing. And I played an incredible part of our industry healing that affects, well, all of us in this nation, whether we're renters or homeowners. The effect of change from the collapse of industry was so important for everybody. Even globally, what we did here was valuable. And I was invited to have front row seat to change itself. And part of that included me becoming the state president for California's Lending Association. And so here I am. I thought this was so fun, Tara. I'm like, California is a big place. I'm in Southern California, Los Angeles primarily. And, you would think that I would host my very first convention for the state association right here in LA. But I realized, no, California is stunning. Guess who went to Napa? Well, I did. Who doesn't love great wine? And if you're giving me the keys to be the president of the state of California, well, our convention's going to be in Napa, and we're going to have a great time together. I say all of that important because all of the leaders, even our leaders of our state offices, they came. It was an incredible special event. And Bill, he was in the hotel room. He's a leader as well. And he's an older gentleman, probably now in his mid-70s by this point. And he says to me, he goes, Scott, can I share something with you? And I said, yes, please, Bill. He goes, Scott, growing up, I never really had much thoughts that were positive or much respect for the gay culture. I never had any reason to change my ideas, Scott. But I've gotten to watch your leadership over the years, and I watch you, and I got to actually know a real gay man. Scott, you've changed my outlook on an old man that I never thought I could change my outlook. Scott, you've shown me what happens in a culture, and you're just a beautiful man. I just want you to know I love you. And holy wow. So that's probably just one of the moments of something that happened that I'm doing in life that affects others. And every now and then people stop me and share a story of how I've touched their heart space and brought change. And I think, well, I don't think, for those that know and why I even have this podcast, it's my intent to do that. You know what I've learned, Tara? We grow up and we're trained to pass the tests they put in front of us. And why did the teacher use a red pen? Why didn't they use the green pen? Why did they circle all the questions I got wrong? Why didn't we circle the one with green that I got right? I think we're trained in life to find the things that don't work quickly and what we don't like about it, instead of being shaped to find the things we love and then what we love about it. I think it's a red pen life we've been brought up through. And I was the oddball. They gave me a green pen. Well, shit, they gave me a rainbow of pens. I had so many pens and crayons to play with. You know what's so cool, Tara, please? I think part of how I get to be who I am today, and those who get to know me, really, it's just amazing because this is just who I am each day, just authentically living. But I didn't come in a positive spirit per se. I was dealing with all the other emotions through the lifestyle I grew up through. And the biggest one was rejection and want and not feeling loved. And that's a powerful one. And for me, being able to give, inspire, to make a difference and an impact is my personal drive in life because it matters. Because they never gave us a book that taught us how to do all of this. You had to grow up in a lifestyle that I was empowered through. Tara, do you know what they were doing when everybody else was in their history class?
What?
Well, I was sitting often in a circle group with about 10 other, we were all males. We were not mixed. We were just together, and we would work on our obstacles and problems. And nobody, well, most of us we want to avoid pain and we don't want to soak and deal with it. But some of the things that I grew up through, and I had to spend the night there. It's not something that was an out thing. I just had an hour visit. No, you lived there. And each day was therapy. But here's the cool part as an adult. Most of us are not given the tools to deal with things that don't feel good. And we're just asked to figure it out. And I wasn't. I was brought up through a therapist and psychologist and other what have yous, and they helped us to get on the other side of the feeling, but not by missing the feeling itself. Here's what I've learned. Pain is valuable. Pain, if it's powerful enough, can interrupt normal. It's hard to bring in something new and fresh when normal's being repeated. And I think for many of us, we like normal activated. Change is not comfortable, so we avoid it, especially if pain is involved. And we probably run for the cabinet for a pill to take the pain away. I suggest next time allow the pain. Why? Because the deeper the pain, the deeper the change. It's hard to create the deep-rooted change if the pain isn't powerful enough. And sometimes pain can be financially placed. Here's what I've learned. Pain is a powerful engine to drive. It has a lot of power. It can stop eating. It can stop sleep. It can make repeated thoughts that won't stop. Pain is a powerful tool. That's why we love to avoid it, because it doesn't feel good. Remember I said earlier about how I feel about failures? Guess what I feel about pain? Pain is delicious at the end. Why? Because it built the contrast we needed to understand the things that shine beautiful. It's hard to see beautiful so well if I don't have pain to understand first. Then everything soon becomes beige. So allowing pain in life has a reward. Why? Because it's going to invite something to fill the void that's now been developed, because the pain stopped normal. And so for whomever's hearing us and who might be going through something right now, please, I just suggest one last story on that. It was way back when the market was shutting down. Let's go back to 2007. It was mid-August when the market shut down officially. It was 2008. I was on a phone call. Her name is Cynthia, a producer for Warner Brothers, and she calls me about her own real estate holdings, masterminding together. I gave her my great thoughts of what was possible. I was in Arizona, and I flew back to California and got a phone call from Cynthia on Monday. That was a Saturday visit. And she goes, Scott, I enjoyed that so much, and I took away so much. I'd love to produce a show. And I was going to call Finance Matters, or the title they'd figure out. But she wanted me to become a television host for Warner Brothers. And she insisted that I fly down to Florida and that she would do some initial camera work and we would do some initial stuff to put the show together. And she felt like it was so timely, and she just loved my voice being the voice of this, and that she felt it would be perfect. And I flew down to Florida on the invitation, because what I was doing before the market shut down, as I understood it, Tara, the meltdown affected everybody globally. For me, it literally shut me down. But I went on chemotherapy actually in February that year, and I shut down physically, emotionally. I had a lot of things I was personally growing through, and then my industry collapsed. And so talking about storms, oh my God, I was living in it. I'm saying all of this on purpose. Why? Because I lost all of the tools that I normally built just the day before yesterday that allowed me to live a lifestyle that felt superhero in nature that I thought I'd never have access to. And I built a career through mortgages incredibly successfully here in LA. And then it stopped. It stopped for many, but it stopped for me first because my body stopped, and I lost almost everything. I got down to about $18,000. I sold my car. All my other money was exhausted. I kept the machine on too long. I spent all of my reserves. I believed that the market would just turn right back on next week. So I kept my employees on. I kept payroll running, even though we had no business. So I soaked through my money so fast because I had hope and belief that we'd just get through this. Nope. My emotion state was stronger than I was at the moment. I stepped into adult depression. A lot of things were happening for me in that moment. And there was a moment of hope. And Cynthia gave me a moment to believe that I could be this television host. And I flew to Florida. It was my birthday. It was 4 days before my birthday. And I'll never forget. She pulls out the camera, Tara. She pulls out the camera and she goes, "Okay, Scott, just introduce yourself. Say a little something, something." Oh, Tara, I had no idea that was going to happen. Look at me, lost for words. Yeah, right. I was wickedly lost for a word. I froze like a deer in headlights, Tara, literally froze like a deer in headlights. And she eventually got a camcorder out and said, "Okay, let's do this one. It's not as big as the other. See if this is easier." Tara, no easier with the camcorder. We didn't have iPhones yet back then. Well, I came home with my tail. I didn't have a tail, but if I did, it was in between my legs. I'll tell you that much, Tara. I'm like, that didn't work. And I was so bumming my Tara because I wanted it to work. I wanted it so bad because before I'm just sitting at home depressed, not really having my traditional purpose. Life felt interrupted at a massive level. I lost my assets. I lost some houses. I lost the safety that I built that I believed in. And I was in a space that told me I should be going back to work. Well, I flew home. It was my birthday. And I get an email from Cynthia. And she says to me, she goes, "Scott, it's not unusual for you to be uncomfortable with the camera. You've been a mortgage broker your whole career. It might make sense for you to go to an acting course and they'll help you get out of your head. You're going to be amazing. You are amazing. I just need you to stop thinking about how you look and sound and just be yourself and let the camera just not, you don't, I need you to take an acting class. Scott, I think you should do it in New York City," she's telling me. And she says, "Scott, why? Because we're going to film there and nobody knows you there. And I need you to become seeing yourself as a television host, not a mortgage professional. And if you stay where you live, you're going to run into people that you know, like, and they're going to see you as Scott, the mortgage professional. And I need you to be Scott, the television host. So I think if you went to New York, took this class, it would be great for your growth." And that was Tuesday. Tara, Wednesday morning, no, it was Tuesday night, but Wednesday morning on my Google search, guess who found New York Film Academy? Well, I did.
Wow.
And guess what they were doing, Tara? They were doing a 30-day acting boot camp starting on Monday. This was Wednesday.
Wow.
Yes, that's built for me. I'm taking the acting class. I'm going to do my new show. I called and spoke to Matt. And Matt told me, "Scott, we have no seats available. The upcoming Monday course is completely full. My next one is in October, and I can enroll you there." So I contacted Cynthia, and I told her about what I found. And I told her the cost. It was like $4,500 just for the 30-day boot camp. And remember, I just sold my car. So I had $18,000 to my name. That's all I had. Literally not a dollar more.
Wow.
My houses were in foreclosure. And you would think I should go get my butt to work, right? I should go to work and go earn income again. Cynthia said I should go to acting school and I want to be the television host. And she said I should be. And I'm a dreamer that believes in the dreams I self-create. And she said to me, she goes, "Scott, that class sounds expensive. Why don't you go to their LA campus and audit the class first? Make sure you like the instruction and get the feedback from the students going. And then commit to it." And so on Thursday morning, I got myself invited. I called Matt back again and learned that they do allow auditing. So there I am, Tara. This is crazy. This is what I mean by believe and believe boldly. And I mean it. And here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. I drive to that course, to that campus on Thursday. I was staying in the Palm Springs house I had. And I drove to the campus in LA. And on my drive, I get onto the 101 freeway. I'll never forget this day for the rest of my life. And my whole drive down there, Tara, I kept thinking to myself, what are the kids going to say? They don't like it. Of course they like it. And if they don't like it, I don't care. I'm going to like it because I'm going to be a television host and it's going to be done in 30 days. And of course, I'm loving it. And so I've got myself all worked up in inner thought. On my drive from the desert, it's 2 hours. So I had a lot of time for working on inner thought. And I get on that 101, downtown LA, Tara Polly. I picked up the phone. I sure the heck did. And I called Delta Airlines. And I, Scott Griffin, bought a one-way ticket, Tara. And I bought a one-way ticket to New York City for a class that has no openings. Tara, I have no job. I have 2 dogs at the time, and I was not married to Jack. I was single. I was living alone. And the person that watched my house when I went to Florida, I met at Toastmasters Club. And so I had no house sit. I had nothing, Tara, except a dream. And my dream was to be a television host. And I completely believed in the self-created dream somebody helped plant for me. And Tara, I bought that one-way ticket. Friday morning comes, I call Matt back and I told him how much I loved the course. I told him all about Warner Brothers. By the time I was done with that conversation, Tara, I was finding myself with a seat to class Monday morning. Not only did I get invited to the class that had no room, my friend Jason, I didn't know was out of town for over 2 weeks, and he had a guest bedroom in Park Slope, Brooklyn. So all of a sudden, I had a place to stay. My other friend John all of a sudden said, Scott, when you're done at Jason's, you can stay at my house. So I had nowhere to stay, and David was the one watching my house while I was in Florida. I called David on Friday, last minute, David. How do you feel if you had a whole month at the house? The house was gorgeous, Tara. Pool, luxury, you're like at a resort.
Amazing.
So it's not a horrible thing to say yes to. And so he said yes. But I had no yeses, Tara. I had an airline ticket to a class that had no open seat, and I had no idea who was going to watch my dogs. How can I afford it? How will they like me? What do I know about New York City? But dang it, Tara Polly, I arrived Saturday night. It was raining. I went to the local deli, had chicken dinner, and I had myself in Soho Monday morning taking my class, my Tara.
Wow.
And I did it. And well, that was 11 years before I became actually a television host.
Wow.
While I was in New York City, I ended up, here's what happened in quick summary. New York City, I stepped into the dream to the class they didn't have. I took the class. Here's what I learned. Tara, here's what I learned.
Tell me, Scott.
I wasn't more comfortable with the camera on day 25 than I was on day 1. Here's what I've learned. It's hard to learn a new craft in only 30 days.
Wow.
So that's okay. So the instructor said to me, one of my instructors says, Scott, I recommend the Meisner technique to help you to overcome the obstacle you're in right now. I think it'll be super useful. And as much as I'd love you to stay at New York Film Academy, he told me about 3 acting studios that offer such a course. And the most profound one is called the Acting Studio at James Price. And very hard to get into. You have to interview just to get invited. And there I am, bold Scott, taking on that instruction. And I ended up going. I got invited to the class. I had already started the night before. And then, Tara, I'm going to close out with this. The class, I was only about 1.5 weeks into it. Remember, I only had 18,000. I've now exhausted about a good chunk of it. I don't have much more to rub. That's all I had. And I'm in New York City. It's expensive. Food is expensive. Life is expensive, even though I didn't have housing. And I didn't complete the course at the Film Academy. Part of the completion is that you were going to walk away with a reel. And the person they teamed me up with did not do the reel with me. So I didn't have it. And I knew I wasn't ready for television either. So I went to the dean and I asked for a redo. And they allowed me a complimentary redo of the 30-day course. And I thought if I just had one more run at it, I'll be better. And then I went back and I talked to James Price that night in the course. I've only been in it a week and a half, Tara. And I shared with him how much I was growing, what I loved learning. By the time I was done, I got myself a 2-year scholarship in 1.5 weeks to one of the most private schools that exist, incredibly expensive. I didn't have the money to take the courses by any means of the word. My Tara, I got into that course. I ended up being on 30 Rock. I got hired for a big film they were doing. All of these magical things started unfolding. I could keep going on, and I won't because this is not enough time, but I want you to know there was so much available on the other side of crazy, and why the heck would you ever go to New York City where you don't know anybody and go to acting school instead of going back to work while they're foreclosing on my home? And so I ended up being able to bring my dogs to New York. I went back a few weeks later, brought 5 box, and I ended up being Dante's roommate for $1,200 a month. And I found the how to do it. And here's what I've learned in life for those listening. Please hear this. There's no dream that's not too large. And I mean it. No dream is too large. And of course you can. How? Start visualizing yourself in the dream. What are you doing? Who are you doing it with? How are you being received? What are you eating? All of those things I've discovered for me matter when I start to visualize through self-desired fantasies. And the visualizations is what I do to unlock my self-belief. Because when I visualize myself doing it, I start believing I can do it. And I got to tell you, that carries me through today. And so just believe bolder, believe boldly, but it's hard to believe anything if you don't dream it up first. And if they're doing it, you can do it. And here's what I've learned. It doesn't even matter if you were just a foster kid who couldn't hold a job more than 5 minutes growing up and you don't have any tools, or if you had tools in life and then they took them all away and now you have no tools at all. What are you going to do now? Well, I suggest keep believing. Keep swimming and just keep flapping your arms. The how to do it shows up. We are not responsible for how. We are responsible for want in life. Keep your want fully activated. When want gets fulfilled, find a new want. Why? For myself, when want's not activated, why am I waking up today? What is my want? What is my purpose? What is my desire to be activated? Want activates. Complacent puts me to go take a nap. So keeping want activated is valuable. And I know they told us growing up in life to appreciate what we have. Delicious. What else? What else are you dreaming? Why? Because it's only one time in these bodies. This journey gets to be a short one, and nobody knows what date the chapter ends. So the life you're living belongs to you. Dig deeply inside of your dreams. And I don't care if we have to reset and have everything removed. Why? Remember, please. When I lost everything, went through bankruptcy, foreclosures, all those things, I was not immune. Here's what I've learned. It's going to be okay anyway. Why? Remember I said as we started this, it's impossible to fail in life. There are no failures. They're just experiences, and we don't get to like all of them. So that's not a failure. It's a moment. Just readjust.
So, Scott, if you could go back and you could talk to your 8-year-old self, what's the one thing that you would say?
I love that question. Just believe.
That's it. That simple. Yeah.
Just believe. So powerful.
It is powerful. I mean, you've gone to Congress, you're a power player in media and mortgage. Like, you've accomplished so much with just that one simple rule. And it's not easy for everyone. The risks that you've taken and the things you've chosen to do, it's really brought you so far. And it's just been about having faith in yourself. And that's incredible.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, you're so beautiful. That's kind. Thank you, Tara.
I really am, especially, when you grow up without privilege or you grow up without opportunities, you have to make those opportunities for yourself. That's a whole different way of living. And a lot of people will never experience that. So you sharing all of that beautiful information with people who may resonate with some of this, I think it's really powerful and I think it's really valuable. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Tara.
Yeah. So what's next for you? I mean, how can people stay connected and follow along with your journey and hear all the beautiful things that you have to say?
Oh, I love what you're asking. Tara, please, believebolder.com. Believebolder.com is a family. It's a space where we all belong. And it's a space that we're creating. And it's a space to inspire, to empower, to share dreams with each other. and then to inspire each other to unlock them. And it's my goal growing forward to stay focused on inspiring others on the path that we're all creating. You know, here's what I've learned. We all have our own individual stories, but we're sharing paragraphs and chapters all with each other. It's all one giant master story in the story of life. And we're a core part of it. And so Believe Bolder is my focus. It's going to be our great podcast. It's our great newsletter. It's our outreach that we go out and share. It's my upcoming book that I'll be writing that shares some really useful ways of how to unlock the things that you never thought you could, but you sure have the right to. And at the core of it all, just believe.
And that'll be your legacy. You know, that's what you get to leave the world with, is that message. And I think by sharing that, you're making the world better every day.
Well, I think it's valuable to share messages, and tools like this invite us to do it. And Tara, it's no wonder Emmy nominated, Telly Award winner on every major network, on streaming anywhere that there's electricity. You're going to find beautiful Tara. Tara, I appreciate you so greatly for joining me today on this incredibly special podcast.
It was really beautiful to hear your story and hear how you got where you are today. So thank you for sharing all of that with us, with your listeners, with me. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. And so as we close out and say thank you for tuning in, remember, life deserves filtering. And who you hang out with is who you become in life. Find beautiful people. Filter the ugly that takes away from your dreams. It's going to be okay. You're enough, and you can do it. And surrounding yourself with beautiful will help you how. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I can't wait for us to meet more incredible dreamers and believers in the life that will help us to believe we can be that same winner also. And, well, until next time, Tara, thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
And thank you for joining us at Believe Bolder. We'll see you next time.